The idea of Pi Network as its own planet, Planet Pi, is more than a metaphor. It's a powerful way to understand the next stage of the digital economy. Imagine planet Earth as we know it, a world built on Web 2 technology, where banks, governments, and corporations rely on fiat money for every transaction. Now picture a parallel world, Planet Pi Network, operating on Web 3 technology, decentralized, community-driven, and powered entirely by Pi as its native currency. What does cooperation between these two planets look like? The relationship is not about competition but partnership. Earth provides physical goods and services, everything from food and energy to art and innovation. Planet Pi Network brings advanced Web3 technology, decentralized apps, smart contracts, and borderless transactions. To trade across these worlds, a bridge is required. That bridge is Pi money. Just as Earth businesses accept foreign currencies when trading internationally, they will eventually need to accept Pi when dealing with the Pi Network ecosystem. How big is the wealth of each planet? We can roughly estimate the total wealth of planet Earth by counting the fiat money in circulation worldwide, trillions of dollars. But Planet Pi Network is different. Its wealth is not capped by traditional measures because the value of Pi is set by the very first generation of pioneers and designed to serve future generations. The supply of Pi is large enough to meet the world's monetary needs for hundreds of years. Because its value is rooted in community consensus rather than scarcity or speculative demand, Pi's potential wealth can be described as effectively unlimited. Why must transactions use Pi money? If you want to enter the Pi ecosystem, to shop in its marketplaces, to access its decentralized services, you must use Pi. Like it or not, fiat must be exchanged for Pi at the border between the two planets. This exchange rate will follow the rules set by the Pi network and will be pegged at a value the community agrees upon. That makes Pi less like a speculative crypto token and more like a stable global currency with its own governance. Isn't this just another cryptocurrency? This is where mindset matters. Traditional crypto markets are driven by supply and demand. Prices swing wildly based on speculation. Pi Network challenges that model. Its supply is deliberately planned and distributed over time to meet long-term global needs. Because of this, its value does not have to fluctuate with market whims. The community's agreement, what many call global consensus value, GCV, anchors the currency. What is GCV and why does it matter? GCV represents the starting valuation for Pi once it becomes fully tradable and accepted worldwide. Supporters often cite $314,159 as a symbolic benchmark, reflecting both the mathematical constant Pi, and the project's vision of social justice. Skeptics may call the number unrealistic, but history shows that when a good or service becomes essential, price follows need. If the world comes to require Pi for transactions within the network, people will find a way to obtain it regardless of initial price. Needs, as the saying goes, defeat value. How should pioneers respond? Pioneers, the early adopters and miners of Pi, should understand that this is about more than holding a digital asset. It is about shaping a fairer global economy. By valuing their Pi and resisting the urge to immediately trade it for fiat, they help stabilize the ecosystem and set the stage for long-term prosperity. The concept may feel bold, even radical, but isn't every major leap in technology, from the internet itself to smartphones, first dismissed as impossible? If Earth and Pi truly form a partnership, wealth creation could extend far beyond today's financial boundaries. The final question is yours to consider. When the bridge between planet Earth and planet Pi is fully built, will you be ready to cross it? Based on my deep analysis, the conversation around money, liquidity, and the future of global currency is entering an exciting new chapter, and Pi Network stands at the heart of it. Liquidity, at its core, is the ability of an asset to be converted into cash. Traditionally, that cash has meant fiat money, government-issued currency like dollars, euros, or shillings. For centuries, fiat has been the world's primary source of liquidity because nearly every product or service can ultimately be priced and settled in it. But the emergence of Pi as a global digital currency suggests a different future, one where liquidity no longer depends on the paper money issued by central banks. Pi was created with a simple yet revolutionary aim: to be a truly global, decentralized currency. Inside its own ecosystem, Pi functions as the central medium of exchange. Core team developers are already building and completing roughly 100 decentralized utility applications, DApps, that will launch once the open mainnet goes live. These applications span every layer of daily life: primary needs like food and housing, secondary needs like education and health services, and even tertiary ones like entertainment and travel. Within that network of services, Pi itself is the payment method. When you buy, sell, or trade inside the Pi ecosystem, Pi tokens, not dollars or euros, are the unit of account and the fuel that keeps everything moving. In this way, Pi provides its own internal source of liquidity. So why, many ask, is Pi still constantly compared to fiat money? The answer lies in the life cycle of any currency. Think of Pi as a newborn child. In the earliest stages, a baby still relies heavily on its mother for nourishment, even while beginning to taste solid foods. Likewise, in Pi's early years after open mainnet, it will continue to need fiat connections. Until outside businesses, governments, and global supply chains fully accept Pi as payment, users will bridge the gap by occasionally converting Pi into fiat. This is not a weakness but a natural growth stage. Over time, as more external markets adopt Pi, its reliance on fiat will shrink. Picture a world where shops, service providers, and even governments recognize Pi alongside, or instead of, traditional currency. At that point, the dynamic reverses. Fiat will need Pi. People might one day feel uneasy holding paper cash until they can exchange it for the more universally accepted Pi. Fiat, once dominant, could become just another commodity, useful but no longer the prime source of liquidity. The implications are profound. A world where Pi is widely used promises a different kind of prosperity. Unlike fiat systems, which are ultimately controlled by central banks and powerful financial institutions, Pi is designed to be owned and governed by its global community of pioneers. No single corporation, government, or elite group can dictate its supply or manipulate its value. That democratized control could weaken the influence of entrenched monetary powers and distribute economic opportunity far more evenly. Central to this vision is the concept of global consensus value, GCV. Achieving GCV means pioneers collectively agree to value and use Pi for everyday transactions instead of rushing to convert it back into fiat. If the community treats Pi as a currency with intrinsic worth, demand will rise, stability will improve, and outside players will be compelled to accept it. But if pioneers fail to uphold that consensus and simply trade Pi for fiat at the first opportunity, the movement stalls, and the existing fiat-dominated system remains in charge. The path forward is clear: protect and value your Pi holdings. Recognize that this is not just another cryptocurrency but potentially the foundation of a new economic era. As adoption grows and applications multiply, competition to earn and hold Pi will intensify. Those who understand its potential now will be best positioned when the shift from fiat to Pi accelerates. Together, through shared commitment and careful stewardship, the community can turn this vision into reality: a future where prosperity is broad, money is truly global, and liquidity no longer depends on the old order.